I've hired all the best coaches out there. And I can tell you, the way you think about things has to change if you're going to do more than the generation before.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Perfectly Mentored. I'm your host, Jason Portnoy. My guest today is Ryan Stewman. He's the creator of the G Code, the leader of the Apex movement, and he's known as the hardcore closer. He's on a mission to help as many people as possible become the most elite version of themselves. He's a top contributor to Forbes and has published 13 books, 4 of which have gone on to become bestsellers. He has coached and helped over 20,000 clients who now represent what winning looks like at all times. He's a full-time investor, has ownership in 30 plus companies with 100 plus employees. He's also a loving husband, proud father of 3 boys, and lives in Dallas, Texas. Ryan, an absolute great pleasure. I've been following you for a while, so I really enjoy having you here. Thank you.
Yeah, glad to be on.
So talk to me a little bit about your journey and how you came to start educating people in this space about sales, mindset, and business, and become the hardcore closer.
Well, that's a lot, First, I didn't really want to do this job. This wasn't like I woke up one day and was like, hey, I'm going to be this online personality. I like to live a pretty quiet life and mind my own business, which I'm very good at. And I got into a situation to where my back was against the wall. I had been a sales guy all my life, and I had found a niche in sales that was working well for me and making me good money. And I lost my ability to do that job. And at that point, I needed to find something that nobody had authority over me. I didn't need a license to have the job or a boss. And so I started looking into this online world. Well, I'd had a lot of success at the couple jobs that I have had. I was usually a pretty loyal employee, so I get somewhere and stay, because that's one of the tricks, the secret hacks to being a good sales guy is just fucking stick around for a while, right? Build a pipeline. A lot of people don't even get that. They move around every 6 months and they're like, dude, I don't know why I'm not rich yet. It's like, bitch, you haven't even been anywhere long enough to cook a meal yet, And so anyway, I looked into several different things. A friend of mine was a real estate agent, and he goes, you should check out this online marketing world. And so I checked it out, and this program that he had was like $10,000 or something like that. And long story short, I watched the program, I did what it said, and I actually made a little bit of money from it. And I didn't get rich overnight, but I thought, well, shit, if I can do this a couple times, I can do it a couple million, And from there, it's just been the never ending scale and building the business. I started off as I didn't know anything other than sales, right? I'd never built a business. I became independently successful and had a little bit of money, but at the time I get what a lot of people call imposter syndrome. I didn't feel like, it was any big deal or whatever. Some of the stuff that I'd done, it was just normal to me. And, I started teaching people just what I knew. Hey, here's how you close things. Here's how you do mortgages. Like, that was what I was doing, right? Here's how you do mortgages. And after about 5 years of doing that, we had built our own business. I had invested in a bunch of other businesses. I had a few business owners as clients. And I thought, well, fuck, man, this stuff's not exclusive to loan officers, and we sort of went, I guess, horizontal with our thing. Instead of staying in one niche, we started opening it up to all business owners. And then we started making it more, it wasn't just about sales, and it still isn't just about sales, because, over the years, I watched a lot of people make money with me and then go and get divorced or start a drug habit or some shit that wasn't there before, and get attacked by the force of average. So, I wanted to create a program where A, I didn't need a boss, B, I didn't need a license, and the potential to help people would be limitless. And so in order to do that, I had to get in front of cameras and do podcasts and all this other shit, man. And, I'd like to tell you, dude, I did this one video and it blew up and here we are and we're like the Kardashians and stuff, but that wasn't the case at all. I've done about 1,400 videos. I don't think any of them have quote unquote, blown up. I've built, Russell Brunson always says one funnel away. I built at least a couple thousand of those bitches, I just this week, I finished my 700th podcast, and this is the 3rd podcast that I do. So I've got, I don't know, a couple thousand podcasts out there as well. And nothing ever, and I'm going to tell you this because one of the things I said about sales is if you just stay there long enough, you'll make money, right? No matter what it is that you're doing. If you just put in the time, you will make money. Some of you are better at putting time in faster, so you get money faster. But for the majority of people, you put in the time, you're going to get paid, right? I don't have one episode of my podcast that's like super popular. I don't have one blog post that took off. I don't have one video that went viral, but I got a whole fuck ton of content that's gotten a couple thousand fucking views on it each. And when you add up 2,000 videos and 2,000 blog posts and 2,000 podcasts and 2,000 fucking this and 2,000 fucking that, it starts to really look like a million really fucking quick. But it took me 10 years to be able to build all that shit. And I think that's what most people miss in any business is they want to get fucking rich overnight, or they want these, they see people's like, dude, Stewman blew up out of nowhere. Andy Frisella blew up out of nowhere. It's like, bitch, you just didn't see us for the fucking first 8 years because we weren't on the grid,
I love it. I was going to ask you later on, how important is consistency and just showing up when it comes to sales? Would you think that's one of the biggest mistakes people make when it comes to sales, or what do you see as some of the biggest?
Well, I guess probably the biggest mistake somebody would make in sales is giving up too soon, giving up on the clients, prospects too soon, giving up on the opportunity too soon. And I get it. A lot of people, they take a job because they need fucking money. It's not like wealthy people are leaving corporations every day and going, you know what, I'm going to take a job at my leisure. It's not the case. They stay there. They continue to make their money. The people that, maybe they worked as a bartender and somebody's like, dude, you should do good in sales. And then they go and they apply for a sales job and they get a job selling, I don't know, HVAC installations, right? For people to come inbound leads, and they make less money their first 2 months than they made as a waiter. And they're like, well, fuck this. I can just go wait tables. Yeah. But the thing is, waiting tables, you're going to be stuck at $500 a week or whatever that number is. In sales, you $500 a week this month, but you might be 600 next month, then 700 the next month, then 1,200 the next month, then 25 fucking thousand the next year. You don't know. Right. But we know that you can only maximize how many tables you can fucking wipe off and wait on. Right. But what happens is the waiter still got to fucking pay his bills. Somebody told him he'd be good in sales. It seemed like a good opportunity. Shit didn't work out. He's got to pay bills. I'm going back to waiting tables. And that's what happened. Most people, they're in 60 days and then they quit and go, oh man, fucking sales is a tough racket. I didn't make it. They were probably one day away from the big payday they've been waiting on for the 60 days they were in anyway, but they quit,
But that comes down to exactly what you said before, right? You put out all these videos and all this content because they all add up. It's the hard work. It's the consistency that goes in. It's the continuously showing up, even when you don't want to. But how do you get over that rejection? I mean, I'm just not going to say easy for you to say, but easy for you to say when you've put out all that content and you're over that hurdle a little bit. If someone's listening, they're like, well, great. I still have to make 2,000 pieces of content. I have to call 14 prospects back. I got to deal with all the rejection. I got to get over those hurdles. What's your advice to them?
Well, so I have a saying and that we use for our clients and internally here in our office is do the work despite. So many people, here's what happens. They do, and we live in this society really where they do something right now and they expect to get paid from it immediately. I made a post on Facebook. When does the money roll in? I made one phone call, one sales call. When does the money come in? Right. And what happens is most people do the work and then wait for the result. Right. And sales isn't I know guys like fucking Dan Closed Door, Dan Door, whatever, Dan Lock. I know the guys like him, they're like this high ticket closer shit all over the place. He's got these people with zero skills. He's got their hopes up. You know what I mean? And I'm not knocking Dan. I don't fucking know the guy, but I'm just saying he's like really got these people's hopes up that they can be these one call closers. And most sales doesn't happen in one call, right? Like somebody with a big brand like Dan Locke, maybe the people that are hitting him up, they can one call close them because he's spent all this money to advertise and all this other stuff, right? That probably works pretty well. But if we're to go to work for someone that doesn't have a big name in the industry, if we're going to work for Dan Door, as we'll call it, then that guy doesn't have a name in the marketplace. Probably people aren't going to pay $25,000 for some no-name motherfucker that cold called them, right? But here's the thing with sales is that I can start a relationship with those people and eventually they're going to buy from me. There's people today that bought from me over Black Friday that've been watching me for 6 fucking years. The time just wasn't right. Right. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show up in a business and do the work despite. So I'm going to do the work today despite. So if I got to make 100 calls today, I'm doing that despite whether I make fucking money or not. I'm doing it. You know why? Because sales is a game of inches, right? And what I mean by that is we're always inching the person towards the next level of interest. So there's people that have zero interest. There's people that are slightly interested. There's people that have objections. There's people who need to think about it. There's people who need to do it in a certain time frame. Hey, I'll get back to you in XYZ days. And so if somebody gives us the objection, hey, I'll get back to you in 60 days, it's not our job to try to change their mind right then and go, what's 60 days got to do with it? Blah, 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 fucking fancy objection handling shit. Because cool, now we got this motherfucker to follow up with for 60 days, making sure that on that 60th day, he's ready to roll with us. Right. So I'm going to do that work I'm going to hit them up once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks for the next 60 days. I'm doing that follow-up work despite the results that I get because I ain't got the result yet. But if I don't do that work, then I'm never going to get the result. And look, 100% of my efforts don't get rewarded. I'm a human being just like anybody else. But if I'm inching enough fucking people around, eventually I'm going to push some of them off the edge. And the more people I can inch around, the more that are going to fall off the fucking fence and the edge and get into our bag, you know?
I love it. So I got to ask, how important has mindset been to your success? And what advice do you have for the listeners who want to overcome their limiting beliefs, or as you call it, imposter syndrome?
Well, I think the number one thing you can invest in is yourself. And Warren Buffett says it best. He says, you can't tax it. You can't take it away. Right. It's like really the only fucking thing they can't tax or take away from you is personal development, you know. But for me, I've invested millions of dollars into my mindset, like probably the equivalent of what the government invests in Navy SEALs. I have spent it on personal development, getting better at sales, getting better at running an organization. I'm never too good to learn. Like I have talked to a couple guys the other week. They're light years behind me. And they asked me for some advice. Said, hey man, you should join our program. It's like, oh, I'm not really looking for a coach or anything like that. I just needed some quick help. You know what I mean? Like I'll never be that fucking guy. If you're light years ahead of me and you offer me an opportunity to learn from you, I'm probably going to buy that shit. But here's why I'm going to buy that shit. Because if I spend 20, 30, 50 grand on something, I'm going to get my goddamn money back. I believe in myself. Most people don't believe in themselves, you know? And that's where the mindset thing comes in. You know, I've hired all the best coaches out there. And I can tell you the way you think about things has to change if you're going to do more than the generation before. And what I mean is like my parents, most likely the people that are listening to this, their parents weren't rich. My parents weren't rich. So my parents would say things like money doesn't grow on trees. You know, you start your own business, but it's not as fucking glorious as it looks. You know, oh, that's risky shit. You should just get a job. You know, in my case, they were like, you should graduate school. I'm like, fuck school. Right. But like, we have these people, I call them agents of average, that are in our life that are trying to, there's so many people out here listen to this show right now. And if this is you, just when you hear this, go, this fucking, he's talking to me. Like you came up with this idea, right? For maybe a product or a business or something. And you went and told somebody that you trust and love, a friend, a wife, a mom, a dad, an uncle. And they told you that it was fucking sketchy and scary and you should play it safe and stick to your job and be thankful for the little that you have right now. Right? Those people are agents of average. Okay. And what I mean by that is they're like working for what I call the force of average, which is basically the algorithm that runs this planet. Right. So I had to change my whole thinking to be able to get this concept for you guys. But this force of average, it works like this. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So for many of you, you have a good month and you make a bunch of money in sales or on your business. Then you have a series of 2 or 3 shitty months where you're trying to fulfill orders. And then you turn around, you're like, oh, fuck, man, I spent all my time fulfilling orders that I didn't sell anymore. And now I'm fucking don't have any money coming in, right? We fucking the cycle of self-sabotage over and over again. Well, that's because on the track to greatness, there's going to be the force of average trying to distract you. Its weapon is distraction. And it starts at an early age. It starts telling us we're easily distracted when we're in kindergarten. The teacher's like, he can't sit still or be quiet. Well, bitch, a closed mouth goes unfed, motherfucker. What do you want him to be quiet for? He's in kindergarten. He should be learning to communicate. You should be encouraging that shit. You know what I mean? But that's what teachers do. You know, teachers tell me the other day, your son's always making everybody laugh. Well, bitch, the fucking class must be boring then. You know what I'm saying? Like, what the fuck I'm supposed to tell him? Hey, you're naturally a God-given, funny comedian type of person. Like, stop that shit. What you know what I'm saying? But I'm not an agent average, but the teacher is. And this is in private school, right? And they did the same shit to me. right? Ain't a fucking teacher in the country, probably not even a collegiate fucking professor that makes what I make, right? And they told me my whole life, sit down, shut up. You got to quit being a distraction, quit trying to get attention. Fuck, that's everything you fucking need today in order to fucking make it as a business owner, right? So back to the point, you're going to be filled with these agents of average your whole life. Your parents, your friends from the hood that you grew up in, the teachers from the schools you came up with, they're all going to tell you to live this comfortable, average life. Matter of fact, most people, when they raise kids, they say, we're raising them to just be productive citizens of society, right? Who the fuck wants to raise a product? I'm raising little fucking legends. That's what I'm doing. My kids are going to grow up. They're going to take over your little fucking productive citizens fucking marketplace, and they're going to run that shit and probably employ them, because that's what I'm speaking into my kids. That's what I'm talking to them, because I'm not a fucking agent of average, right? And so I get a little excited about this. But the truth is, for every action, there's equal opposite reaction. And that's just like people that go on diets and they lose 10, 20, 30 pounds and they get fatter than they were before, because as soon as the diet's over, they're fucking binge eating and drinking and shit again, right? So once I put this concept together, I'm like, okay, the force of average. If I'm trying to be more than average, the force is going to be greater on me. If I'm below average, it's going to be easy for me to level up to average, because the force is trying to keep me there. That's how the natural ecosystem on this planet works. Capitalism, socialism, doesn't matter. It works around people being average in whatever the economical and socioeconomical status is around them, right? And so for me, I got this idea and I thought, okay, well, if I'm at war against this thing called the force of average and the agents of average that are part of its army, right, that are fucking everywhere. All right, art of war here. What I got to do first, I've already identified my enemy. Okay, it's the force of average. Second thing I got to do is I got to identify what its weapon is. Its weapon is to distract me. It's sending me 40,000 decisions to make a day. It's sending me 8,000 advertisements to make decisions on every day. It's throwing fucking, as a business owner, it's going to throw IRS trouble at you. It's going to throw an employee quitting and taking his fucking book of business from you. It's going to take a business partner that's fucking up. It's going to take a drug problem, a divorce, a fucking family doesn't trust you, doesn't believe. It's good. Those are all these things that are making you struggle, because guess what? As you push, if you push against the force of average, the gravitational pull of it trying to put you back into average gets stronger, which I call the struggle. But here's the great thing about it. In life, for everything that like naturally happens, there's a supernatural correlation in life. When you struggle, you get stronger. In the gym, if you struggle to do pull-ups, right, eventually you struggle enough, you get strong enough to do some pull-ups. You know, if you have a weight record, you're trying to bench press 300 pounds, right? You might struggle at 225, but you keep pushing, you'll get to 300 eventually, right? And we fight against that struggle every day until one day somebody like me that's so mentally fucking strong because I beat so many fucking struggles that I have a different belief. And that different belief is that, hey, I'm supposed to struggle. These fucking problems are supposed to come my way, because guess what? An entrepreneur is a risk taker. A business owner is a problem solver. And like the great philosopher Puff Daddy says, mo money, mo problems. Why the fuck wouldn't I want mo problems? Because that's the key to mo money, right? And so when I start thinking of it that way, I don't think of it as like, here's sales. I need to make sales. I fell in love with the daily process. Okay. So if I need to make $1 million a year, if that needs to be my fucking goal, I need to earn $3,000 a day, Monday through Friday. Right. So I'm coming in every fucking day. I'm not looking at $1 million. I don't give a fuck about 7 figures. I'm looking at, did I get my $3,000 in today? And so when I change, so what that does is that keeps, a lot of people, they say, I want to make $1 million in a year. Fuck, $1 million is an unfathomable fucking number to them. Mentally, they can't register. Their parents didn't make $1 million. Their friends didn't make $1 million. They don't know anybody who's really making fucking $1 million. Here they are. They say it. It sounds nice. They don't know what the fuck it looks like, but we all know what $3,000 looks like. And we can all focus on something like $3,000 every day. And when you get on that small target, and you're like, fuck, I crushed $3,000. Fuck, I done blown that on a fucking bad hand at poker in Vegas before, right? When you fucking crush $3,000 every fucking day, you look up the end of the year, chances are you're going to be doing 1.5, 1.9 million. Because you got focused on a goal that was easily attainable, and you fucking beat the shit out of that every day consistently, versus some big unheard of goal that sounds good on fucking paper, but you'll never fucking get there because you don't have a plan on how to make it happen.
I think you're passionate about this subject.
A little bit, man. You know, I don't know where all this energy came from. I felt really tired before we got started, but you can kind of tell.
I'm going to get you rolling, I promise. One of the things that I totally agree with, aside from, I mean, almost everything you said, but one of the things that really hit home is something I say all the time, is that your friends and family, they're the last person to come around. They're the last people to come around when you actually start making things or doing things. And whether it's their agents of average, or they've known you the longest, so they can't see you in a different light. So your change contradicts their vision of who you are. And that's the last thing to happen. But they're always the people that sat there and said, oh, I cheered you on from the start. Oh, I knew you when. Oh, I was Ryan's friend when he was doing all this. But they're the last people to come around.
I just made a post on that the other day. And here's the funny thing about that is in the beginning, I'm trying to see if it's on here real quick. I don't know how many days ago, but like, oh yeah, here we go. So in the beginning, there's really 4 phases. And in the beginning, here's what happens. It's not so part of the problem with the people that know you, your friends and family, right? First of all, they don't know anybody who's ever done what you're saying to do. So they doubt that you can do it too. Okay. First of all, it's not you, it's them. The second thing is they know your past. And so when I say I'm going to start something, people look and go, fuck, man, how can I get involved, Stewman? I put money in, put time in. I want to be with you because I got a fucking track record. Okay. It didn't start like that, but I got one now. So you don't have a track record yet. Here's the other thing though, is when you start doing it, you're showing them that you're willing to do something they weren't. And they're hoping you fail because they become agents of average and they hope you fail because then that means that they can embrace their excuses. Oh, I didn't do it either because fucking Ryan failed. But see, when you win, you start showing them that they've fallen victim to their excuses. And here's what happens. They go through phase 1, a doubter. These are the people that when you share an idea or dream with them, they say it's a bad idea. They try to talk you out of what you're doing, right? They doubt you can do it anyway. They think they're doing you a favor by being an agent of average and talking you out of it. Then after you take action, they go into phase 2 eventually. They talk negative shit on your Facebook posts, right? You start posting some motivational comment. They're like, who the fuck you think you are? Tony Robbins? The fuck out of here. Didn't you just fucking smoke crack 2 years ago and go to prison or whatever the fuck, right? Like they just become these like backstabbers. They send you DMs like, who do you think you are? And all this shit, right? Then you go to phase 3. They become haters. They don't fucking like you because you've shown them that you can become successful and they're not successful. So therefore there's resent. See, most people, most people quit at phase 1. Somebody doubts them, a mom, a friend. They just don't ever take action. A lot of people quit at stage 2, right? The few of their friends say, who the fuck do you think you are? What are you doing here? This is not you. And they fall off. Majority of people, if they get to phase 3, when the people start hating on them and they get mad at you for winning, you start feeling bad for winning. So you start blowing your money and eventually make terrible decisions based on a subconscious emotional guilt that you have, right? And you fucking end up blowing it anyway. But here's the thing. If you can realize that these are natural progressions and just because at the moment they doubt you, they stab you in the back or they hate you doesn't mean that it lasts forever because eventually they become fans. And eventually what happens is they say, I knew that guy all along. I knew he could do it all along. But you got to go through those 4 phases. But most people, they quit doing their thing at 2 or 3 based on the scowl and the scorn from the backstabbers and the haters. And they never get to convert those people into fans. There's people that fucking hated me 5 years ago that are paying clients now. And they hated me. And the reason why they hated me is because I said shit that made them fucking have to go, he's right or fuck him. That's the only choice they had. He's right or fuck that motherfucker. And a lot of people don't like admitting somebody else is right. So the first thing they do is they say, fuck that motherfucker. But guess what? Gary Vee is a good example of this. I know you mentioned him before. I'm not a fan. I don't like the guy. Maybe personally he's a cool guy, but on his videos, shit, I can't fucking stand it. I can't watch it, right? He's just very rude and obnoxious. It's not my style. However, he's one of those guys that's in front of you all. I don't hate him. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm a fan, I guess if it came down to it, you know what I mean? I'm more of a fan than I am a person that doesn't like him because I respect the hell out of his game. But when he first started showing up, even for me, I'm like, this fucking guy, man, like how is he screaming in people's face? Ain't nobody punched him yet. Because that's just not how I operate, you know? But now, 10 years later, I've been watching the dude just like, hey man, you know what? That's Gary. That's this personality is a little weird, but dude, he's one of the leaders in our industry because of what he's done. Right. I've been watching that guy for 10 fucking years or whatever. Right. But, and that's me. I'm not even a what you would traditionally call a fan of Gary Vaynerchuk, but I've gone through those 4 levels with him, same with Cardone, in the beginning, it's like, oh, this guy needs to comb his hair. And people do it with me. I know when somebody shows up, it may be 6 months before they become a fan. They may fucking hate me and comment on my ads and say a bunch of crazy shit. But if I just stay in front of them, eventually they ain't got a choice but to be like, you know what? This guy's starting to wear on me a little bit,
And I think what you said is super important for every individual to realize themselves when they see something they don't like, or they see someone or someone listening to you right now and says, man, I don't like him. Well, internalize, why don't I like this? Why don't I like this person? Is it because they represent something I'm missing? Is it are they doing something that I wish I could do? I could be out there in front of a lot of people. I could do these sales calls. I think if you start noticing things like that, like that's definitely helped me, especially now that I'm out in front of a lot of people. I start noticing when I don't like someone who posts something, I'm like, man, it's just that guy's doing something and I look at it, I'm like, then I'm not doing what he's doing. And I start doing what he's doing. Because if I don't like it, it represents something in me, not in him or her. It represents something in me that I'm missing.
I think Jay-Z said it best. He says a lot about you if you're not feeling us,
Yeah.
you know? And that goes for, with Jay-Z in that sense. He's talking about his music. He's the greatest alive. So if you don't like him, there's, that says more about your mindset than his, because he's already proven himself. And I look at the same way with Cardone or Gary Vaynerchuk or anybody that, plays at that level, Tony Robbins. Like, if I was a hater on those guys, it would say more about me than it would them, because those guys got a proven track record of winning. Why the fuck would I want to hate on that? And then subconsciously, here's the weird thing. When you hate on that, subconsciously, you're hating on your success too, because when you get there, you'll hate yourself for fucking being one of them. That's a bad mindset to fall victim to. Trust me.
Talk to me about the G code.
Yeah. So we got this thing called the force of average, which I quickly explained earlier. I got to figure out how to fight this damn thing, man. I'm tired of meeting the woman of my dreams and falling in love and us ending up breaking up and it being this huge problem and battle and drama. I got tired of having a job making $1 million a year and then the government losing my license or whatever the fuck, right? Like, I got tired of starting things and not finish them. I just got tired of things not going the way I wanted them to go. So I realized, okay, so this thing, the force of average, is trying to distract me from finishing shit. We'll just put it that simple, right? And its weapon is distraction. So what kind of fucking weapon do I got to fight that? Surely God didn't create me and say, you know what, we're just going to let the force of average beat the living shit out of these human beings every day, right? Surely that's not what the divine creator gave us some sort of superpower that when we can tap into it, we can whoop the force of average's ass, right? We can have a good month, then a better month, then a great month, then an even better than great month, right? We can keep going up. We don't have to average out. Okay. So I thought, okay, so what fucking superpower? I can't turn invisible. I can't fly, so what superpower does the average human have against this force of average? And after, lots of consideration, I realized that focus is a human superpower. And focus is like when you're in the zone, man, you can get anything done. Again, I'll go back to my kids. The teacher a couple of years ago complained that my kids weren't paying attention in school. And I told the teacher, it's like, well, maybe your class is boring, because I've seen the fucking kids sit down behind a video game and not move for 8 goddamn hours to even take a piss. So I know he can fucking focus. I know he can focus. I've seen him play cars or color or build a jigsaw puzzle for hours at a time. I know he can focus. So it says more about you and your teaching style than some fucking 6-year-old kid that you're trying to be an agent of average against. And so we lose our focus because we let the teachers tell us we can't sit still. We got ADD. I don't pay attention to details. Well, I'm not detail oriented. I'm a big picture guy. I'm not we tell ourselves we become the agents of average, right? The internal dialogue's fucked up. It's pulling us back. And so, okay, cool. So we know we need to focus, and I don't mean stare at some shit. Like, we know we need to focus, which means have a visualization and a plan of action to back that visualization up. $1 million a year, $3,000 a day, Monday through Friday, right? So I'm like, okay, so what happens to the guy that makes $1 million and then gets a drug problem and the $1 million ain't shit anymore, or makes $1 million and cheats on his wife and now half his shit's gone? Right? Or the woman that does the same things, right? Like becomes an alcoholic, whatever the case may be, right? So that's some force of average shit. I need to be able to focus on something that's going to beat it across the board. So I broke it down into 4 areas. The first is you need to have a grateful mindset. Okay. Gratitude is the precursor to abundance. We hear people all the time, so you got to have an abundant mindset. It's too big of a concept for people, but being grateful is a concept that's easy to understand, right? And if you're grateful, see, when abundant mindset takes gratitude, a scarcity mindset, which is the opposite of abundance, takes fear. The root word of scarcity is scared. You're scared to make money. You're scared to lose money. You're scared to take a risk, right? So if you're grateful for what you have right now, you're not going to be scared of shit. We take fear out of the equation. So G1 is gratitude. And the real key to gratitude, the real balance in life, is being grateful for what you have now while still willing to do whatever it takes to get what you want. But if you're not grateful for what you have right now, here's what happens. When you get what you supposedly want, you realize that you don't fucking want it. And then that's why people say stupid shit like, well, money doesn't buy you happiness. I don't know, man. I got some really nice cars that make me really fucking happy. I got a really nice fucking house. I just literally just yesterday came back from random Thanksgiving trip to the fucking mountains so that my kids could fucking sled for the weekend. That made me pretty fucking happy, right? You ain't doing that shit for free. Right? Cost about 10 grand to be exact. Right. So just putting that out there, money does buy you happiness. And when you say stupid shit like that, it has that effect on you that it won't make you happy. But if you get happy for everything that you have right now and you truly appreciate it, the struggle and everything, then when you get to the next level and you get what it is that you've been working for, you'll be even fucking happier with that. Right. Like for me, Jeff Bezos could walk in here right now and be like, you want to trade bank accounts? Just trade. I'll be your guy. You become me. I become you. You can have all my money, all my fame. I'll be like, bro, get the fuck out of my office. I'm not interested in that. I don't want to be anybody but me. I was so grateful when I didn't have what I have right now that I'm like, wait, you could ask my wife. She's been with me for 6 years. She would tell you when I met Ryan, he'll fucking cut your throat. The richer Ryan's got, the fucking nicer he's become, and it's just, but the truth is, I'm so fucking grateful. And I was grateful when I had little, but I was angry at myself for not having a little bit, which was the fuel for me to push forward. Now I'm just grateful to be able to give back. The second is your genetics, G2, right? That's your diet and your exercise. I have a friend of mine that about 78 years old now, and he quit 79. He quit working out when he was 55. He said the biggest mistake, he's a very wealthy guy. He said the biggest mistake I ever made was I quit working out. I don't know why I quit. I thought I had done it enough. I thought surely at 55, I deserved a fucking break, and I should have never stopped because it got too hard to get back into. So for me, I want to focus on being healthy. What good's $1 million if I got to fucking ride a wheelchair around because I got diabetes because I can't lay out the Butterfingers, What good does that do me? Yeah, now I'm a rich fucking person that lost something that God gave me because I decided to make bad decisions and give it away. My ability to walk, right? And so for me, I'm going to make sure that I exercise every morning. I'm going to make sure that I eat somewhat healthy. Look, I don't have to go full blown fucking vegan or any of that weird shit. Right. But you know what's good and what's bad. And you know what moderation and proportion is, you know what a workout is and what isn't. You don't have to go all in like me and have a personal trainer and, trying to get ripped and everything else, but you got to do something. The fourth G or the third G is your grind, right? That's your job. It's how you make your money. You got to go grind it out. We got to go in the woods. We got to hunt. Something you got to focus on every day, that $3,000 or whatever that dollar amount is for you. And the fourth G is the group of people that you spend your time with. I believe that who you do life with will dictate what you do in life. I noticed that the more I hang out with the right people, the more right shit seems to happen in my life. I know in the past when I hung out with the wrong people, a lot of wrong shit happened in my life. And a lot of people are scared to cut ties with the wrong people, which keeps them from ever running into and connecting with the right people. Look, the truth is you look at the people in your circle and you just ask yourself, are they bringing value to your life or taking value? And you can only have so much taken away. And if your circle is filled with takers, you're in trouble because you're the only fucking value provider to the whole circle. And that's not the position to be in.
I think that's amazing. And it all comes down to that winning mindset. But I want to discuss something super important because anyone who goes through a program like that and listens to someone like you, it leads to one big thing. People love that motivation, right? People love that feeling. Okay, I'm inspired, but then they hate doing the work to actually get it, right? Because I could listen to you, the listeners could listen to you and be like, man, he's right. I'm pumped. And then they got to get back and actually do the work. How do you address that?
Well, work is relevant, whatever. Right. And what I mean by that is, so I used to be an electrician in Texas. If you don't know, it's really hot here in Texas and electricians work in attics. So during the summers of my early 20s, this was my schedule. I would wake up at 5:30, be inside an attic of an apartment complex, which is extra hot, probably 120 degrees up there. Be inside the attic of an apartment complex all day from 6:30, 7:30 to 4:30, 5:30 in the afternoon. So the hottest part of the day, the whole day, running wire, pulling it, fucking up in a stuffy ass attic, man. When I got off work, I got off at 3:30. We were there at 7:30 in the morning, or I'm sorry, 6:30. I got off work at 3:30. I got home at 4. By 5 o'clock, I was working at a Mexican restaurant until midnight. So every morning I'm waking up at 5:30 to get to work by 6:30. And every night I'm working, except for Sunday night because they were closed. Every night I'm working until midnight. It's not as serving food, but being the host at a Mexican restaurant. And oftentimes at midnight, sell a little dope on the side. You know, people come over the house after I got off work and buy some drugs and shit from me. Okay. And so I'm no stranger to hard work around the clock. And back then, avoiding the cops, selling drugs and dealing with those fucking weirdos and working in a stank ass Mexican restaurant, you know, you leave there smelling like enchiladas every night and you got to wake up early in the morning, smell like enchiladas in the fucking job site, right? It's not like I was rich when I was doing all this shit. Then I got a job where I worked 12 hours a day selling car washes out in the heat, you know, at the front of the car wash. So the reason why I share that with you is sitting behind this desk in this climate control office with a beautiful view of the city and technology at my fingertips that only I have to swivel and move some wrist. It's not really fucking hard work, no matter what it is. I done some hard work. I grew up on a farm, man. I done shoveled shit. I done fucking scrubbed the mud out of the fucking cesspools at the car wash. I done scrubbed the grease pits at the fucking Mexican restaurant. I done the fucking hard work. This little shit called fucking running a business, you know, internet marketing or fucking building a website or fucking putting together a spreadsheet. For the love of God, Harold, fucking grow some balls. Hard work, that's done with a fucking shovel. Hard work, that's done with a pickaxe, man. In the penitentiary, I fucking pick cotton. You know why? Because I'm white. None of the fucking black guys are going to pick cotton because that's fucking racist. The fucking white guys pick cotton. And I wish I was fucking black because it's a fucking horrible job. I'm fucking telling you, right? I've been through that shit. But this little desk fucking shit, it ain't fucking picking cotton like some slave in the fucking southern woods. That's not the, no, it's a fuck push a couple fucking buttons on the keyboard, ain't shit. So some of y'all never had to do any real fucking hard work, which is why you think some of this soft fucking ass work is a fucking task for you to do. You're like, oh my God, I don't know how I'm going to ever finish this blog post. Let me hand your fucking ass a shovel and tell you to go bury a fucking goat like I had to do when I was 6 fucking years old and go dig a hole big enough to fucking stuff a dead goat in it and bury that motherfucker up. Let's talk about some hard work, right? By the way, that goat story, it's a funny little sidetrack here. I got this goat from my uncle.
Good thing you're telling a story because I had no transition off of that. Right?
Yeah. I got this goat from my uncle. From like my birthday. I was 6 so years old, and they wouldn't let me keep the goat at the house, so they made me turn it loose in the little pen on the farm. Well, my dad sat his world championship saddle on the fucking fence where the goat was. Didn't know that the goat was there because my uncle would put it there. The fucking goat ate my dad's one of a kind world champion saddle. So my dad fucking killed my pet goat, and I had to bury that motherfucker, man. I'm telling you. I had a hard fucking childhood with hard fucking lessons learned. You know, that's where I got the name hardcore from. And when you think about, like, you know, again, being 6 years old, digging a fucking hole big enough to bury a fucking, I don't know, 200-pound goat, whatever the fuck they weigh, you know, that's fucking hard work. Car wash, hard work. Electrician, hard work. This little computer fucking spreadsheet shit. Shit, it's climate control. You don't even break a sweat. When's the last time you broke a sweat writing a blog post or some shit? You know what I mean? Or making a YouTube video. You might break a sweat because the lights are hot or some shit, but not because you're fucking physically doing hard work. So a lot of people just have a really fucked up, skewed view of what hard work really is. Which, by the way, I highly suggest you go get a job doing hard work. And like for my main job, I'm CEO of Break Free Academy. But in the gym, I do hard work. I got a personal trainer. He's a cocksucker, man. That dude makes me do like atrocious stuff, right? On the weekends, I go work on my buddy's farm. I still drive a tractor. I still move trees. I still run a chainsaw. I still do all that shit. So I stay close to the fucking ground to remember that, oh man, I got to do this podcast today, man. I'm fucking working too hard. Nah, bullshit, man. I cut some fucking trees off their stumps last weekend, you know, with a fucking handsaw. This little computer shit ain't nothing, you know?
Yeah, I agree with what I'm trying to think. I think the direction I'm going to go here is you're everywhere. right? Like, so I see you pop up all the time now. How important is building that personal brand? I'm not going to call it how much hard work did you put into building that personal brand, but how important is building that personal brand, that platform to you today?
Well, Robert Kiyosaki says that we have like this something quadrant, right? And it's like that you're an employee, self-employed, business owner, and investor, right? And I think in between the business owner and the investor category is another category I call the authority. And you the easiest way to say this would be like, when I was a kid, the rock star was a big deal, like Motley Crue and Poison and then Metallica, and like these guys were like idols. You know what I mean? Like we used to say the phrase "party like a rock star, living like a rock star." Nickelback wrote a song about it, And nowadays, like rock is dead, but like people ain't really selling fucking stadiums out with no, like, name a rock band that just came on the scene that's blowing everybody's mind right now. There ain't one. So as entrepreneurs, we're the new rock stars. Dude, I'm filling stadiums, getting on stages in front of thousands of people, and my tickets are a lot higher than $50 like concert tickets. You know, I'm on the radio. This is the radio podcast. I'm on the fucking radio. I've got my own record label, my podcast label with all these podcasts on it, right? And so I just follow the authority that these rock stars did, and a lot of the rappers do the same thing. And from a business standpoint, because that's how you become the authority. The rock band like Motley Crue, I just listened to the Heroin Diaries, which is one of their guitar player or their bass players' biography, right? And the thing is, the only reason why Motley Crue, they weren't the best band. They didn't have the best singer. The reason why is because they knew how to fucking become the authority in the marketplace. They knew what clubs to play. They knew what doors to knock. They knew what people to get discs in their hands. They knew how to do the flyers, all that shit, so that people went, well, who do you think of? You think of rock and roll, Motley Crue. Well, let's get them here. Like, that's what you need to do for your business. You need to become the authority. When people think roofs, they need to think of you. When people think websites, they need to think of you. When people think loans, they need to think of you. And that's your job. And that happens by bonding with people on social media, by running ads. But like, here's the thing with me, like when I start something, I'm committed for life. I started podcasting, I'm committed till they take the platform down. I started posting, like me, I ain't really done shit with TikTok. You know why? Because I'm not trying to get in another commitment. I'm not sure if it's for me yet. I never jumped in on Snapchat. I wasn't ready to get another commitment. I'm committed to Facebook and Instagram right now. That's it. That's the two that I'm committed to. I'm committed to them. I'm committed to doing 5 podcasts a week, right? I'm committed to fucking writing 1 blog post a week. Like these are things I've been committed to for 10 or 12 years now, and been doing it this whole time. And even when I wasn't the authority, these things were taking place that when I finally hit that pivotal point where I did become the authority or one of the authority figures in the marketplace, it's like, hey, and I got all this shit to back me up too. So I think there's another level, and a lot of people don't do this. And today it's easier than before. If you used to write a book, man, you had to sit down behind a fucking typewriter and crank that shit out and then save the pages in the right order and all that shit and then pay for an editor. Now you can fucking voice a book out and have that bitch transcribed for about $50, But yet nobody's writing books. 1% of us, I got 13, but 1% of us are writing books. But guess what? Somebody mentions me. The first thing they say is, oh, Stewman, oh man, he's a good salesman. He's got a bunch of books that he's written. He's a published author, instant authority. But yet most people don't do it. It's easier than it's ever been before. And so there's this place that we all need to become before we get to do anything. It's like, until I'm the authority in my particular niche, industry, product, whatever the fuck, I ain't done my job yet. There's an old saying that was, every morning I wake up and I check Forbes, and if I'm not on the list, then I go to work, right? And I forgot who initially said that, but the truth is, every day when I wake up, if I'm not the authority in my marketplace, I'm gonna fucking go to work.
Listening to you, I would never assume you're quiet, right? Or an introvert. I think entrepreneurs have that feeling, right? Where, it takes us a while to come out of our shells, and we like to live private lives and we like to do it. But when the camera's on us and when we do our thing, this podcast for me, speaking for you on stages, you become a sort of different persona. How important is it for an entrepreneur listening to this right now, to, if you're too shy to get on camera, fuck it, develop a persona that's not too shy?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much what the hardcore closer was. Like now I'm just Ryan. But before I had to have like this metaphorical costume to be able to step into. And it was really me. But in order to be me, I had to have this alter ego. And there's lots of people that do it. Lots of people that you think their name is something you see online. That's not their name. That's their alter ego. From celebrities to, gurus. A lot of the gurus that are out there, that's not their real name. Some of them it is, but most of them, it's not their real name. And that's by design for a reason. And also part of that design is so that they can become that person. Tony Robbins that just wake up and go, fuck, I'm fucking operate out of 10. He's a normal person, just like me and you. But there's something in him that he's triggered. Maybe it's a tap on the wrist, a tap on the head, jumping on that little fucking trampoline thing that he has, whatever the case is, that's that change agent that says, hey, you're this guy, go fucking pump the stadium up.
What's your change agent?
For me. I'm the hardcore closer. When I got to pick up the phone and do a podcast or, make a sales call or go have an important business meeting. It's like, hey man, I come in here to get this shit done right. I come in here to close it down. I came to bring the heat. That's what I do, And now again, I've got to a point in my life at 41 years old where I'm just Ryan, like, hey, what do I do to make that flip? I'm this way all the time, every time. But in the past, I wasn't really exactly proud of myself. I had lost my job in the mortgage industry. I did a little time in prison. So I needed to become this hardcore closer so that it was something I could buy into. Hey, you're not Ryan Stewman, the ex-convict fucking guy that lost his job. You're the hardcore fucking closer, bro. Go fucking close them. And that was that mindset. Now it's just like, hey, you're Ryan motherfucking Stewman, right? But I had to make those transitions. And, it's just a part of, the maturation of a human being going through this authority figure in the marketplace, process that I'm talking about.
We'll end with this. I know you've authored, 14 books, you said?
13.
13 books, sorry. But are you a reader?
Get it right, goddammit.
Sorry, man. I got to fire the person who did the research on this. But are you a reader? What books do you think every entrepreneur needs to read? And you feel free to throw one of the 13. See, I'm a quick learner. One of the 13 books in there as well.
Well, so first and foremost, and this isn't just because I wrote it, and I'll say something here, and guys don't get all twisted and shit, but like, I didn't write this book. Like, it was just written through me, right? I'll just put it that way, right? Like, you call it God, the spirits, the exorcism, whatever the hell. Like, this came through me, not to me. And so, but the G code, that thing that you just asked me about, that I explained, the 4 Gs, grateful mindset, your genetics, your grind, the group of people that you hang around. The G code book, man, it's like $6 on Amazon. Just fucking grab it, read it. It'll change your life. And we have a little free app that goes with it so you can track your greatness and everything else, but it'll really change your life. So first and foremost, I'm gonna recommend that. It was my latest book. I released it this year. We've sold about 500,000 copies of it. So it's doing pretty damn good. People seem to fucking like it. All the people tell me it's a great book. The next thing I would tell you is
your friends and family were the last to tell you it was a good book, though.
Yeah,
right?
man, ain't none of them called to congratulate me on book number 1. Let me tell you a story. I wrote book number 1, and my whole family, I give it to my family, my dad, my mom, my grandparents, and I'm like, look at me, I wrote a fucking book. They all hit me up and said the following: if you release this book, we're not going to be able to do dinner or Christmas or Thanksgiving or anymore. We're just our family's business just doesn't belong out there like that. I wrote that book in 2014. I ain't talked to my grandparents or my parents since 2014.
Wow.
You know what? That book has went on to sell almost 1 million goddamn copies. That's 1 million fucking people's lives that I got an opportunity to change or give them some wisdom or share an experience with. Over 4 or 5 people telling me they didn't want their fucking business out there. And you know what? In the 6 years since I wrote that fucking book, ain't a single person called me or hit me up in the DM or anything and ask a goddamn question about any of my fucking family members. They ain't even asked what their fuck, hey, is your dad such and such? Ain't nobody fucking asked. You know why? So nobody fucking cared, but they tried to keep me from doing it because they were agents of average. And you know what? I just had to move the fuck on. But back to the point. My friend Patrick Bet-David just released a book. It's called Your Next 5 Moves. Best book I've read all year. Second best book to come out this year behind the G Code. Yeah, that's right, Patrick. He's a good friend of mine, great guy. But that is, and I don't just say that because he's a friend of mine. I say that because his book is absolutely fucking amazing. Your Next 5 Moves. It just came out a couple weeks ago. On my drive from Colorado to Texas the Saturday, I listened to a book called Rocket Fuel by Gino Wickman, and a great book when he
Great
talks
book.
about
Great book.
visionaries and integrators. Man, that fucking cleared a lot of. My wife's not a book person, but everybody in the car is like, look, I got to drive for 14 fucking hours. I'm at least get a couple books in, and they're explaining the visionary. My wife looks over and she goes, I don't know what book you're reading, but it sounds like they're fucking explaining you in this little segment here. It's like, all right, yeah, I'm listening to the right thing. So, but those are the three that I would recommend, Patrick's book, Your Next 5 Moves, my book, G Code, and Rocket Fuel by Gino Wickman.
Ryan, thank you so much for doing this. For the listeners who want to reach out to you, how can they find you?
Yeah, the easiest place, like all my social media, is at One Spot Social. It's onespotsocial.com/closer. And I'm verified everywhere. I don't say that like, oh, I'm verified. I'm just saying, like, if you see my name and it ain't got no damn blue check next to it, it's an imposter account. So don't fall for that. And it happens at this level when you're the authority in the marketplace. It shit happens. So, but yeah, it's onespotsocial.com/closer, and you can follow me in all the proper places there. So
awesome. Ryan, thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate your time.
yeah, thanks for having me on.